Andrea, she won $25,000 because Angela won it. Then it was also, I think, 12,000 went to Ashley. And I think who was fourth? Was it Michaela? I think she got like about 7,000. And then also you have those other prizes like most best poser, most muscular, and also one thing is, my man Keith told me that they pay for the per diem and everything. They pay for to come out and fly out. They're paying for them, so that may be the other money, which is why they're taking that from those other things. Like it's that's one thing what made the Arnold so popular because it was invitational. And you could be invited. And that's what we're supposed to be. We're supposed to be like a thing to after getting kicked out of the Arnold, getting pushed out of the Olympia. It's supposed to have been that. But and I've said it before, I feel like it should be open. Personally, just me, my thought, because it would be a great opportunity, but we all know if you have the current Miss Olympia champion and then second runner up, first runner up, and then ladies already who got their qualifications for the Olympia, you know, it's not a really an open show, because you expect, hey, if I win, I get to go to Olympia through this show, but I'm not gonna get past Andrea. I'm not gonna get past Angela. Not get past those girls. I couldn't even beat a regular qualification show.
Wow.
What do you think, Eunice?
You know, I'm on the other side of the table. From a business point of view, I see the business decisions that are being made as from a business point because I'm experiencing a lot of that with bad rap. Um, we begin with the intent to help a division, and the intent is out of generosity. But as a company, you do run into okay, how much a new company when you first start, your write off is for 5 years, and after that,
Excuse me.
then it's purely generosity. You're either going to be in the red or you're either going to be making it breaking even or making a profit. So at some point you have to decide, okay, what is my intent still the same? Am I still passionate about this like I was? What's the reception that I get from that audience or from those, you know, that group that I'm trying to support? Um, you guys brought a good point up last week on Sunday's discussion about how the women itself aren't doing their part. I see it. There is a lot of egos in this sport. It's a me, is what I see. As a company that for us, it's strictly generosity. My time, my dedication to helping this division has been just that generosity. And there are very few out there who see the mission behind this work. They want to see it as, well, what do I get for this? Instead of, let's do it for the good of all. Let's be there so that we can generate some of our own funding so we don't have to depend on one particular person. Let's do it as a group. Let's do it as a whole. If someone could, put a post out there and just tag, they don't even have to be wearing the product, but just tag and get the brand out there as, and go viral. I mean, that would help the brand itself. But what I see is a lot of ego and I don't see a lot of gratitude. And so I understand where Jake's thought process is that it's time to move on. It's time to think about, hey, let's make some money, or let's open this up. Let's look at it at a different way. I've given enough to the women's bodybuilders, and now it's time to spread it. I can see them taking this show and replacing it since the Tampa is no longer offering women's bodybuilding. So I do see that as maybe him opening up this show to replace that show. At the same time, redistributing the money, we don't know. And honestly, since he's the one that funds it, it's none of our business as to him telling us what it is going to be right now. Because up until now, it's been generosity. He's helped the division come back. He's kept it alive. And now it's time for women to step up. It's time for
Well, we have here a guest here who's been at both these shows, Tampa and the Rise of Phoenix. She is also a Masters Olympia qualified competitor, the lovely Miss Janine Lakowski. And, you know, Janine, she's been a Wing Strength ambassador. She's competed at these shows, and she's seen it. You know, she understands what's going on.
Hi,
Hello, Janine. Hey. How you been doing?
Good. Sorry I was late. The weather's pretty bad here. So
That's all right. That's right. I tell everybody, come when you're ready.
yeah. I totally understand everything that's going on. I mean, change does come. And when you're putting forth a lot of money all the time and they just take, and they never give back. I saw it firsthand on how some of the competitors were. Even with the ambassadors program that Jake started with us. I was grateful to be a part of it, and I worked my ass off for it. But I did see a lot of people take. And you only want to give so much before you kind of step back and say, you know, I've got to reevaluate. And now you're also in charge of the Olympia as well. So there's a lot of stuff going on. About the Tampa Pro, yeah, I'm down this way, but I keep to myself right now. I'm dealing with some of my own stuff, but it's gone before and then come back again. So I'm not sure what's really going on with that part. Having the Wings of Strength with the Rising Phoenix stepping to a normal show. Is it a good move? I think it could be a good move. I think it will also open up more doors for other promoters to kind of step up and bring on female bodybuilding. I know that in Anaheim, it was a trial basis for that show that I did last year. And now he brought it back because he wanted to see what the female athletes were going to bring to the table. And it was a sold out event. Like there was only standing room in that show. And I was very grateful to be a part of that. And I made sure I asked, you know, are you going to be able to bring us back? He said, yes, this was a test. So I think there's a lot of that kind of testing the waters out. But also, we truly need to have someone be the voice of female bodybuilding. And we haven't had that in a long time. We used to have somebody represent female bodybuilding back in the day, and it's never come up again. So having somebody also getting the women to stand behind each other and support each other and get things going, I think is important as well. But yeah, it's a lot of me stuff. I mean, you have that in the men's as well, but a lot of the men support each other and help each other out. Women, I'm going to be fucking honest, and I'm going to say it just like this. They're catty as fuck. And I'm going to be straight because I come from two sides. I've seen it all. Yeah. I've seen it cutthroat backstage and then never spoke, all hugs and kisses and then never anything after that. I'm one of the athletes that I'm exactly what I am, no matter if I'm on the stage or off the stage. I've never changed who I am. I've been true to who I am as an athlete and as representing the sport. And I have a lot of people coming up that are not quite there yet to step on the stage, but I'm always talking about bodybuilding. I'm always doing something. If I'm not on social media, I'm still doing it where I'm working. I'm promoting the sport and teaching people about how it's all about, what it's all about. It's not just about, hate to say this too, it's not all fucking tits and ass. It's hard work and dedication. I mean, it's about being passionate about what you do. Are you doing it because you want a pat on the back from somebody? Or are you doing it because you love the sport? And I think that's too, as another thing that the signals are crossed, is a lot of people do it because they want that gratification, put up that post and they want all these likes. They think that's what's going to get them up there. That's not what's going to make you famous. Your hard work and your legacy is going to make you famous, and famous in where you are in your life. It's not all bells and whistles. You have to do it because you love it, not because you're going to get a pat on the back and you're going to get, all these comments on your post. That's not what it's about. Back in the day when I started, we were in magazines and it never came out until after we competed. So everything was totally backwards. But I mean, shit, that's just how it was. I just found all my magazines that I was in. But I found that was more important to me, getting in a magazine, something printed, than being on social media.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's kind of like,
you put the time in, you did it,
Yeah.
right? But I think there's a lot of things changing. Like, why isn't Andrea Shaw and Angela talking about everything going on? I'm just being honest. If you're the top tier athletes, you should be out there saying stuff and talking about stuff and helping others coming up. Yes, they have the Triple O. I mean, it's coming, this weekend coming, I think.
This weekend.
Yeah. So, I mean, yes, that's a big show, but hopefully they talk about it there at that show.
And the thing about Triple O was it supposed to have been like a show that really was supposed to be representing women's bodybuilding figure. Physique is going to have this year because Natalia's now moved on. She's promoting and I think sponsoring a show in Brazil. And yeah, because that's her country of her origin, well, her family's origin, because I think she was born in New York, I was told. And we as the people like myself, like me and Jeremy, we're outsiders, and we see women's bodybuilding, we're family division for a long time. We see it go through this thing again, like it did back in 2012 to 2014 when you're dropping from the shows. You remember at one point you had to switch divisions.
Yeah, they told me to switch.
Yeah. And then, one thing that helped me when we switched divisions, it changed the effect of physique. Because if you look at it now, some of those women who either came down from women's bodybuilding physique affected it. And then you have women in figure who look like it should go up, but I know what Alpha out here that they don't feel like they want to do that because they feel comfortable where they're at. But as divisions evolve over time, as athletes build muscle and develop, then why now is it important to keep a division there where there could be a place for a division for a competitor to go when they feel like I've outgrown this? But it's up to the competitor. What's something I heard. And
the other thing too, I don't mean to butt in there, but the other thing too is back in the day that the IFBB used to send us emails telling us what their criteria was for that division. I haven't seen that in 10 years. I remember when they said we want female bodybuilding 10% less muscle so you look more feminine, What they need to do is they need to do that again as well. Is communicate with the athletes as to what the athletes need to come in looking like. Yes, we want to come in what we look like, but what are the criteria? Every year, things change. The athletes are getting bigger. Bring them down. They're in control of what happens on the stage. They are the people that are in control of what happens with judging. So then send out a newsletter. I want you guys, women's physique, I don't want you being, they said they didn't want striated glutes, but they still come in striated glutes. So why aren't they reprimanding? You know what I'm saying? Or why aren't they sticking to the rules? We have the rules on the website. Now make it come out to the athletes. This is what we want. This is what we want to see, yada, yada, yada. But the judges have to follow that suit too.
And they're not.
Tyler and them have to send out those emails. I haven't seen an email. Only just what's happened in the shows. Well, that's great. What do you want to see from us as athletes representing the IFBB? That's what needs to be done. They need to go back to where the roots started and how the Manions had it all set out before. And even prior to that, it was newsletters that would come out to us and tell us what they wanted for that division. And we would have to follow suit. Mm-hmm. None of that's being done. It's all this now.
Yeah. And because I have Nicole here, she competes in OCB, and y'all rules are different compared to if you look at NPC and IFBB.
Mm-hmm. He's talking to Nicole.
Yeah.
So I was talking to my son, so I turned the mic off.
That's all right. But I said this.
The look for I did one NPC show before I switched over to OCB. And that was back in 2019. I did another OCB show last year, but the look between OCB and NPC is completely different. Mm-hmm. I think stage lean for figure OCB, I could probably compete at an amateur level in bikini in NPC. It's only because of I'm not that big.
Yeah.
Like I see how figure competitors, like back when I first started doing it, so now figure competitors have gotten really big. And I agree with what you're saying. It's like these athletes, because the last Olympia I went to see the show was in 2022. From 21 to 22, the athletes had gotten so much bigger. I was like, how do these athletes get big in just 1 year? Like figure competitors, their quads are humongous and really shredded. I'm like, that's not really what the look is supposed to be.
Yep.
You know, but they're allowing like athletes to get bigger, not saying anything, and they're awarding athletes for getting bigger. So they're gonna continue to get bigger. So now no one really knows what the criteria is. So if I were to go on the website, because the website tells you, like they don't send us letters either. You go on the website, they say, okay, this is what figure is supposed to look like. So now if I go up there and look like a women's physique athlete, I'll probably still win. You know why? Because I came in the most muscular. I don't know. That's not what figure really is about. It's not the most shredded and the most muscular.
Mhm.
That's specific criteria, but you're right. If they're not telling you, you know, if they're not enforcing the rules, then
Yep.
then what do? That's not fair. Even crossover.
And,
If I try to do all
crossover is a whole other can of worms there.
yeah.
Because
That's
obviously
not fair. Yeah, I don't
when
think
they cross over, they're bringing in figure into physique, and they're doing
Yeah.
long poses in all the divisions, and they're mixing it in, and then you're wondering why a figure girl is doing a lat spread or a frontal bicep. Like, hello, I talk to the judges on a regular basis. I mean, I don't think there should ever be crossovers.
Mhm.
I know why they
Agreed.
do it.
Totally agreed.
Crossovers
I agree with that too. I hate
for
crossover.
two different shows at the same day. You can't
Mhm.
fucking do it, and I won't let
Yeah.
my.
But we know why they have crossover, because the promoters make money from
Of
the
course.
entry fees. Because you got to think
Yes,
about it.
Their show look like they have 400 competitors when they really only have maybe 150 competitors.
Exactly.
Because I interviewed a lady who got 3 pro cards at the North Americans. 2 of them were in figure, and one was a physique.
That's not fair.
And yeah,
Taking
I'm
away, they're taking
Yeah,
away
exactly.
opportunities from
Taking away
others.
from somebody else could have gotten that. Like say somebody crosses over from physique. She's a physique athlete, but then she crosses over to figure, and then she wins. That's not fair because a figure competitor who fits the criteria could have gotten that pro card. So it shouldn't go to the woman that has like a woman's physique body. So I think that's completely unfair. I don't like crossovers either.
Right. Here's a great example. I just saw a girl. Now, bear in mind, this woman's got a bodybuilder physique. Okay, when I mean women's bodybuilding, not WPD, not wellness, not bikini, any of this. This girl in the same show with a bodybuilder's physique entered into bikini, wellness, figure, physique, and bodybuilding. Won 3 of the 5.
I've seen that happen too.
Won 3 of the 5.
Two shows.
How the hell is that possible?
Yeah,
That shouldn't even. That's with a bodybuilder physique. You won bikini. How does that happen?
yeah.
How the hell does that happen? And then, Janine, to your point, when you say they come out with that, even when they come out with these notifications, they're still not consistent.
Yeah,
Like when they came out with the 20% rule in 2004, we want to see a 20% reduction in muscularity. Very next year, who wins the Miss Olympia? Yakseni Orikin, one of the biggest, most muscular women on the planet. If anybody, according to this ruling, shouldn't have won that show, it was her. She did. She beat Iris for that year. To give you ideas to the proportions we're talking about, it's like even when they do come out with these memos, they're not being faithful to it. Because on the one hand, they're saying they want to see a reduction, and everybody from Heather Armbrust to Diana Cadeau has said since they've retired, when they went to the Olympia, they keep hearing the same thing: bigger, bigger, bigger. Even when these memos come out saying, so you got the judges saying one thing, and get the higher up saying something else.
Yeah, everyone.
That's gotta end. We gotta get some consistency.
Yep, there needs to be a
we got a
nice
comment
meeting
here.
where everybody comes in, the judges and the promoters and the IFBB all have to be in there on the same page.
You know, it would be nice if at least one show was consistent every year. And I bet if that show was consistent, they would have more and more participation.
Yep.
Yeah. Like one point is like if you look at this debate that some people like one guy who the guy who promotes the muscle contest as Tamer, his brother Tariq, he feels like this year possibly Natalia Kovaleva could probably win the Miss Olympia.
We're not going to go there again. Stop bringing that up, George.
Hey, but George, you know how come, right? You know how come,
Yeah.
right? He's got a big package on top. And
Yeah,
I'm not talking about muscle. and that sells. And that sells, you know?
Yeah.
Again, that's not what sport's about.
So
Yeah.
that's what the sport has become about, you know, TNA. So,
Yeah.
you know, award a champion that has some, some big, shelf on top.
And rack and nothing else.
And you know, that brings attraction. So,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah, because the thing is, I did it. Was it Jay was here? We did it. Was it last week? We talked about this. And I posted, I shared it with everybody, posted, and I got a lot of comments for everybody. And here the thing is, it's just a suggestion. Could we take somebody who looks like someone like Sherry Priami or Ashley Young or Andrea or Mela Ash or Chelsea Dion or even Natalia and post them up as the symbol for the division? That's just a suggestion. Not no against any other ladies. It's just a suggestion. But everybody just got. But you know what? I told people if you have a problem, you got something you want to say, come on here. But this is how I'm gonna like this. I'm quote from my man, an old school wrestling we're a fan of, the Captain Red Dick Murdoch. You want to say all that talking, but then you act like a bunch of yellow belly egg sucking dogs. That's what I'm saying. Here we got my man. Shout out to my man KL. It says, "Hey everyone, thank you, brother."
Okay.
Yeah, he says, and forgive me with misspelling, but hi everyone. That's all right, brother. Brother, there's a link if you want to jump in. You're welcome to jump in. I know you just interviewed a few minutes ago, and you're welcome. But yeah, that's how the thing is. It's easy when somebody say well, the men should say nothing, yeah. But who's gonna be? Most of the fans are men, and if we're not the ones saying anything, if the women are not gonna say anything, who's gonna do something? It took a man and his wife to try to save women's bodybuilding. That's Jake Wood. And I just announced that I'm not going to say my Monica welcome to Jake because I respect what he's doing, but I just I'm not But here we go. We get here. You just popped in, my man KL the Wanderer coming in, brother.
How you doing? What's going on?
Yeah,
Right.
yeah. He has a comment here. He said this. He said, "They two chicken shit, George."
I got that from a movie.
Yeah.
But I mean, there's some truth to it. I mean, if you saying stuff behind the comments, and then I kind of understand people are busy, but it's like everybody's busy, or they got stuff to do. Like nobody can just come and just say what they got to say instead of being in the comments, and because there'd be a lot of people that be on the comments, especially when he posts stuff. So that's my thoughts on it. It's just odd that you hear all these opinions on Instagram, but then when it's like an opportunity is set for you, you don't want to show up. But it is what it is. I don't know everybody's situation, but that's just my thoughts.
It's a lot of, I think, politics too. People are afraid to put their faces out there. That's why you only had one Martin Luther King. You only had one Jesus Christ. Because people are scared to jump out there and give their opinions about things because they're scared it's going to take away from what they do. Me personally, I'm an amateur athlete, but Eunice has helped me out a lot. And I like to listen to a lot of the old school women that have been in the business for a long time because they were there when all these other divisions didn't exist. So they were in the trenches with the guys trying to get on stage. Now you got all these different divisions. So I like listening to those ladies because they keep me grounded. They're like, hey, we were there when none of this was going on. This is what you need to do. I know Eunice is giving me some really good advice on how to handle and do certain things. I know for me, I got the size. I just need to get lean, like super freaky lean. And that's my problem. I'm working on it this year. But, just even having someone to mentor you, that means a lot to me, having a mentor, someone to keep you keep you out of your head, but also keep you grounded enough where you love the sport, but you don't get caught up in all the hoorah, hoorah.
Yeah, I just interviewed Michelle Brent just last week. Lady been in the game for nearly 40 years. I call her one of the handful of women who is a true women's bodybuilder. She had never did bikini, figure, or physique. True women's bodybuilders. Only a few women have done that. That's Hella, Irene. I think I saw Patty Corbett might be competing in Masters, and that's one lady. There's only a handful of women that have been constantly women's bodybuilding. Because you look at like people like Mayla was figure, and she went to physique and went to women's bodybuilding. Ashley Jones, Sherry Piami. I think some ladies who started out bodybuilding and switched back. One lady I'm really cool with, Melly Horton, and she sent me a link to a young lady who is in the future. She just did the show. Was it the Detroit Pro? Her name is Sandra. I reached out to her. I'm hoping maybe I can get her on for an interview in the future. And it was her bodybuilding debut. She was the only competitor there. And I remember, I think it was during the conversation, my big Keith, Andrea was there. And if she's there, okay, why not maybe next year? And you have names like Andrea, and also you have people like can't forget Linda Murray, also Iris Kyle from the area, who can possibly, if they can, maybe speak up and say, hey, let's add women's bodybuilding to the show next year. And my man Jeremy just returned.
Wasn't there one in Detroit? Wasn't there a female bodybuilding show?
Hi
in Detroit?
guys, sorry about that. The weather's getting really bad around here, so it decided to cut out.
Indiana.
Glad to have you back, Jeremy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What we say about Janine?
I thought we had a female bodybuilding show in Detroit, but that was Indiana.
Yeah. That was the Indiana Pro that one year. That guy
took it out.
Yeah, because that was the year Teresa won that show, and she got a qualification. And then I think the guy who was promoter of that, I know my friend Janine. She was not Jada. She was really pushing for that because she lives in Ohio, and they talked to the guy, and then you see Edwin's bodybuilding, and it was her and the name I do not speak. They were doing a press tour about it. They talked about it. They were on the Fifth Physique Friday one day, and it was her and the name I do not speak. You know who I'm talking about if you know me, But yeah, if they can add women's bodybuilding to that show, and I know a lot of ladies, like there's women from Chicago, Canada, Michigan right there, not too far from other parts where they probably would love to do a show that'll be closer to them. Like, the opportunity's there, but it just needs somebody to put up the money and the sanction fees to take care of all that's needed to promote that show.
Well, if they split up the men's money, I mean, why are the men getting triple what we make?
They're not going to do that. You know that.
Well, that's not going to change, y'all. And I think for the future, if we're going to make a change, we've got to work with what we have, not on what we wish we had, but on what we have and how we want to make it change and what we have to do. There has to be a plan, and we're never going to get anywhere if all we do is just, gripe about how the men get more. That's always going to, that's just life. The world of duality.
I didn't have a plan. I'm just a dog chasing cars.
So the planning stage begins with, someone grouping together, bonding together, maybe other women entrepreneurs. I've came out and said we need other women entrepreneurs to get together. Let's back each other up. Whether it's just pitching in to come up with the 10,000 for a sanctioning, then that's the beginning.
So, quick question. Let me ask you, all of us, would you be down to I don't know anything about promoting a show, but all of us have similar concerns about what we deem to be fair and to be unfair in bodybuilding. Why don't we do something? Why don't we promote our own show? I know it sounds crazy. I'm down to raise money. I'm down to help with funding. I'm really good at saving money. It sounds crazy, I know, but why not? It doesn't always start with an idea. So why don't we promote our own show where we can set the criteria, and not where the judges were going. We're gonna follow the rules. You can't be humongous. You can't cross over. You know, you're not gonna have a bodybuilding physique and then win in bikini. Like, no, we're not doing that. So, would you guys be down for that, or it's like just to advocate for women? Because like we have our concerns, and I don't know. I think all of us are on the same page. Like I said, I don't know about how to go about promoting the show, but I'm willing to learn, and I'm willing to, you know. All right, now this is my complaints. Now I want to do something about it.
Doing like a workshop and kind of.
Doing the show. No, like actually promoting the show.
Well, for one thing is if you don't, like, say for instance, us pros like Janine and I that have the IFBB Pro cards, we have to stay and compete within our league, because otherwise, if we move into another league and compete, we lose our pro status with the IFBB. So that's a big, that's a big issue, concern with pro bodybuilders in the league. Another thing is you have to make it attractive enough, yes, so that someone would be coming over to just compete. So it would have to be, if you wanted to have the competitors that you have now in the Miss Olympia, it would have to be something, yes, like a workshop or like a practice or something like that, but still, I don't know. That's just something that an issue that would be that would come up.
It would probably have to be. I personally would like to see a women's bodybuilding workshop where I know I'm in Texas, so me and Eunice, we're in Texas, but something like maybe in Dallas or something, because there's a lot of competitors here in Texas. But I know they do the workshops where they do the posing classes.
Well, if you were to do that, I would do it. But it would be a paid event. It's not going to be a free event.
Oh no, for sure. I think you should pay, because I think you should.
I'm not having judges.
Oh yeah, no. I would
look at something, because I'm working on something right now, actually, like a workshop down here in the Tampa area.
Okay.
Learning how to understand how to build your own training program and all that kind of stuff for you to be on stage if that's your goal.
See, and I think that's a good idea.
That kind of stuff.
Even knowing like what suits best for your body, hairstyles, like even basic things like that, because
I can start working on something.
Yeah, I think I think people should be compensated. That's your time, and it costs to drive somewhere and get a building, all of that.
Yeah, and have like meals prepared.
Yeah, I agree. It should be. I mean, people pay for other things. Why not charge for that? I think it is a good learning experience.
Because there's a lot to learn.
There is. Yeah,
a lot I can talk about.
Yeah.
Also, if you can invite the press, and the press has to pay. Hey, or maybe no, let the press pay, because the press don't want to pay. If you can break them in and say, hey, we might need some press conference. You don't have to be bodybuilding, just maybe the local news.
Yeah.
We talked about this. Maybe bring in somebody who's like a non, kind of bodybuilder associated sports person in there to give their thoughts, also to maybe to really show the show. Like, the competitors come to pay and they come to give their foods and get their education and really open it up to the opportunities. Mm-hmm. And then also you can add a show to it you want to compete and see how you do, how you look. And then most definitely as amateurs, you have to pay, because that's the way you make the money.
And then here's the criteria for your division, because people do need to know that, because unfortunately you do have some trainers out there that put their people in each division. They'll just slam them in somewhere, and you shouldn't do that. If your competitor is a bikini competitor, they need to do bikini. If your competitor is a physique competitor, don't try to, we're going to see where you fall. No. Now, it might be a little bit where you may have a physique competitor and she might look bodybuilding, but as a trainer, you should be like, okay, this is the criteria for this one, but this is the criteria for that one.
Like you're missing lats or you're missing this.
Exactly. And I think that type of workshop or that would be, I think it would open a lot of people's eyes to learn actually.
Yeah, honestly, drop me an email or an Instagram.
Okay.
And drop me a message and I'll get working on something.
Oh yeah, I think that's an excellent idea. That's
I've been working on some workshops in the back office here, just getting together and just finding the right time.
If you want, I can send in your email because I got it. And you want to?
Yeah, just send it. Send it out, George, and then we'll do that. Because I think I would like to even just come see, and even if it's just me out there passing out flyers, or I would like to help out And
Yeah, I'll get it. I'll
that
get
goal
working.
is to be a pro. That's my goal. So I want to see all the behind the scenes too.
Honestly, we've been at it for so long. Sometimes we forget some of those things.
Yeah, and then you got a lot of people out there.
Questions and stuff. I can have the answer right away.
And then you got a lot of people out there. Yeah, they have trainers, but there's a lot of things they're missing. I've talked to a lot of girls, females. They're like, "Oh, I didn't know this. My trainer didn't tell me this, or I didn't know that. My trainer didn't tell me." But I think if there's an actual workshop where they can get that missing information and some things you could piece together for yourself, I think it's a great idea.
Yeah, well, to save the money and get everything together.
Exactly.
Yeah. Well, as you know, there was early this month where there was a situation. We had a young lady that passed away, and that was sad. She was just not. She was 20 years old. That was Jody Vance. And then I saw this was posted by, and he's not my favorite person in the world, Tyler Mannion, and he put this up. If you know, and I want to get your thoughts on this, if you have heard of it already.
I haven't seen it yet.
League Vice President, and today I'm excited to announce our official collaboration with NASM to bring a coaching certification for the NPC and IPB Professional League for the United States and Canada. Now, why did we decide on this collaboration with NASM? Because we want to emphasize health and safety for our athletes. This certification ensures that coaches are equipped with the knowledge to prioritize the well-being of their athletes and still give them essential strategies to make them look their best on stage while doing it in a way that is healthy for everybody. Now, this is very
Okay, I heard it now.
Very important for us. We want the journey for everybody to be
I don't know why he didn't pick the
best journey possible. In the future, we will have.
I don't know why he didn't pick the IFBB Pro PTA to be the people that certified, because it's all the pros that are certified under that. Chris Cormier, Charles Glass, all of us.
Is it a nationally approved, accredited?
Yeah, it's bigger than ISSA. The Pro PTA is the biggest certification you can get.
I still think,
but that's not the gold standard. I mean, think about who creates the guidelines for the personal training certifications. Who follows? Whose guidelines does everybody follow? It's the American College of Sports Medicine. That's the professional. That is the gold standards. They create the protocols for the medical field. So they're going to have to stand behind someone who uses the guidelines of the American College of Sports Medicine, because then we enter into the lawsuit liability.
Let me just look it up.
I still think though that goes back to having a somebody that you can talk to, because like that goes back to what is Janine?
Yep.
Okay, I've got these glasses and still can't see, but it goes back to what you were saying earlier about what are you in it for? A lot of these younger people they're impressionable. They get on stage and they get 1,000 likes. And a lot of them start thinking they're coaches. They start thinking they're this and that. They do the whatever they do. But I still think you need a mentor to keep you grounded. I think that goes back to me with mentoring, because also mentor can check your mental health. They may not get in all your business, but they can tell when something's a little, not right or going on with you. And you may need a friend to tell you, hey, you might need to take a year or two off and get yourself together.
Yeah.
Don't take all this stuff because you want to look like this person. You need to figure out who you are and why are you in the sport. I remember when I started, the first thing I got asked is, why do you want to do this? What are you in here for? What is it? What's it all about? So, yeah, I would like to see definitely the workshop for sure.
Okay. We can work on that for sure.
Because the thing is, I think it's a deal that it probably works for both, but I'm hearing some people saying because it's going to be more of a expense, especially get certification as a coach. But here what it does, it will probably force out bad coaching. People don't understand all the aspects of when they do for the athletes, instead of just pushing gear and pushing people on the stage. Like I said, Jody, I'm gonna pull up here in a bit. This was somebody's. She was somebody's daughter, 20 years old. And I understand, she wanted to compete. And this is she's going to be my child. I'm 50. She's 20. This is somebody's, child right here. And she shouldn't have died, you know. But the thing is, it's also up to the athletes about questioning their coaches. Sometimes I understand often that you trust your coach, but at the same time, you should also follow your own instinct. And then sometimes you need people to really point you out what's the truth. I mean, my heart and condolences goes out to her family. She has a twin sister, so and that's a close bond out from her. It's just she's not around, but I don't know what could have been done. Maybe, as I said again, education. We talk about it. Education is important because you need to learn what is involved in. Like I say, when I talk to you ladies in the interviews, you tell me what you go through: the tired, dehydration, sometimes you're getting brain fog because you don't have enough carbons in your system, and just all that's involved to be a competitor. And like I said, with someone like Nicole, even with her, she does natural. That's just as hard as her because you're trying to build a body without using peptides or performance enhancers.
And taking your time. I mean, I've been competing 14 years and I'm still not a pro, but I'm also not trying to be an overnight success either. I want to take my time. I want my body to grow into that. And I think what happens, not talking bad about any coaches or nothing, but some coaches, if you got a girl that's 70 or 80 pounds and you want her to be 150 in a year, there's a problem.
Yeah.
That's a big problem. You shoving all this stuff for her to get that big because she's went to a show and saw women's physique or bodybuilding, but she's tiny and she's a bikini competitor. But I want to be women's bodybuilding next year, or I want to be women's physique. As a coach, you need to go, whoa, that's you. Let's kind of pump the brakes here and let's figure something out. Then you go into the diet aspect of it, and you go into, and as a competitor yourself, you have to use a little bit of common sense too. If somebody's telling you to do certain things and red flags going around in your head, you need to listen to your common sense.
Yeah,
Ask questions.
You're right. Full disclosure, when I was competing with NPC, I already had a pretty decent physique to start out with because I was very athletic. So my coach at the time was kind of, I guess, pushing me in that direction, saying that, if you don't do this, there's no way you're going to win. So I'd gotten really depressed. I went into a deep depression. I didn't compete for 5 years because of it. Not because of what she said. I was like, but no, I shouldn't have. In my mind, I didn't say anything, but I was like, I shouldn't have to do that. I don't want to do that. And I'm not taking away from anybody else that does it. To each his own. It is a choice, but I just didn't. I didn't want to do it. I just thought, I was just scared of what could have happened, might have happened. Maybe nothing would have happened, but I didn't want to do it. So
yeah, and you use your judgment, but that goes back to your coaches. If you have a really good coach, they're going to tell you, hey, this is your choice. Competing is your choice. What you want to do is your choice. I'm not going to shove anything down your throat. I'm not going to make you do anything, but also I'm not going to berate you into doing something that you're not comfortable with.
Yeah.
Exactly.
My coach is cool. I think because my coach asked me before we even started training for my last show. She goes, "What do you want to do? Do you want to be natural, or do you want to be enhanced?" She asked him, and she gave me the options. No, she wanted to see where my head was at. I said, "No." I said, "I want to do it naturally." But I was going to compete in an NPC show. But then I saw an OCB shows in Brooklyn where I live. I was like, "All right, I'll do OCB." No, I went to the show. I liked it. I love the energy. So then I just went over to OCB. So I mean, that was a very personal choice. Everybody has.
For sure.
Yeah. So it was a very personal choice. But yeah, with coaches, you're right. You're allowed to question. You're allowed to question your doctor if you don't feel something's right or you feel off about something. You're allowed. And if your doctor's telling you something you don't want to hear, if you don't agree with your doctor, guess what? You can always get another one. You're entitled to get another person's opinion until you feel, you feel comfortable with because I think any decision you make, ultimately, that is your decision.
Yes,
no one can force you. You really can't blame anybody. You got to make a decision that's right for you. So you're right about some coaches. You're right. They'll do one show. All of a sudden, they're coaches now. They have all this experience. No, you're not a coach. To me, that's not a coach. I want to see credentials too, like certificate. I want to see this or notice this person has credentials. They know about nutrition, especially if they're training me to compete in the show.
Yeah, cutter. You don't want a cookie cutter diet. You talk to somebody else that has the same coach, and you might be a bodybuilder, but they're bikini, but y'all are eating the same food.
Yeah.
There's a problem right there. Or y'all are both taking the same whatever you're doing, enhancement or not. And you're like, so yeah, you have to ask questions. I mean, and it's just like with anything. If you're paying a coach, that's a service that you're paying them for. If you're not hearing from them, if they're not responding to you, if they're not responding to your question, you need to start questioning, do I want to teach this person? It's your prerogative and choice who you pick as a coach. And if you don't want to be with that person, you can change. If you're paying them and they're not doing anything for you, then you need to question that too.
Mm-hmm. Here we got a comment from man Curtis L. Jr. Shout out to Curtis. And he says she had a future and it was taken from her, tragic and sad. Yeah. Well, like I said again, she had a future, but also she made choices that she should have made better for herself. But education would have helped a lot better.
Yeah, for sure. Education for sure. A lot of people aren't educated in the industry. You get these young, like I said, a lot of young people coming up. All they see is the muscle and the IG and the other. They don't see a lot of the hard work that a lot of people have put into it.
She from what I understand, before she was bodybuilding, I know she was binge eating, and I just know a little bit of knowledge about that, but that's kind of obsessive behavior as well. And then she's doing this. That's a bit extreme, and of course that's gonna happen, if nobody's not with her. So,
Well, but do people understand that her own coach posted on IG that she took 2 extreme diuretic protocols without his knowledge? That she basically, according to the coach, he said she did this to herself. He didn't promote, he didn't encourage this, he didn't do anything of the kind. This is according to him. Whether or not that's true or not, I have no idea. But that's what he said. But also, according to what Tyler said, if you were so damn concerned about the athletes, what about Sean Roden? What about Dallison Carver? Where was this concern then? Lena Hatvani, when she died, it shows. You're so damn concerned about people. You knew what was going on then, and you did nothing. And you're coming out and saying that you're about health and such like that. Where the hell was this then? Where was it then? You know what's going on. You know what's happening here. And then it's like, even if they do get this certification, what does that do to curtail gear and diuretic prescriptions from these same coaches?
Nothing.
How does that stop it? What does that do?
And what are they going to do? How are they going to control that? If you're going to have a team and you're going to be a coach, you have to have that certification. I mean, how are they going to regulate that?
Right.
The basic, the person, the amateur who's just getting started, they see someone else in their gym and they start to ask, hey, who's a good coach, or what would I do? And that's where, it's all bro science that they learn things from. And how are you going to regulate that? So for someone you may have a certification there, but I'm going to tell you, I've been a personal trainer for, my God, I've owned a gym for 37 years. Yeah. All these years that I've been a personal trainer, I have never had one client ask me, who's the certifying agency that certified you? No one has ever asked me that.
Yeah.
All they want is results.
Yeah.
They want results.
Yeah. It's like I said, it's just the double edge of the sword. You can say it's her fault or accept your part that you are her coach and trainer. You should pay attention. Like, off my favorite quote is, beware of surroundings at all times. That's what you should be aware. If your athlete is taking bad protocols, because this is somebody you with and you work and you train, you with them about every other day. You should pay attention to these things. And like I said, she's young, and young people are impressible.
Very.
Yeah. They see something that, like I said, you want to be like this, like a piece of hot and ready, fresh right there. No, it takes time. And sometimes they don't have the patience to take that time.
They'll walk around the gym, see somebody muscular. That person might be 40 or 50 years old and has done it for 30 or 40 years, and they think, oh, I'm 18 or 19, I should look like that overnight. No, it doesn't work that way. You know, if you want longevity, you know, you have to tell them about longevity. I mean, a lot of the young guys, they come up to my husband in the gym, and now my husband's been doing it since he was 14 or 15. And, you know, and they're like, oh, and he's like, I've been doing this a long, long time. You need to take your time. You need to be a kid. You need to, you know, grow into your body. You're still developing. You're still growing. Don't start doing things that's going to mess you up 4 or 5 years from now. Just enjoy being young.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, being young, dumb, and full of it.
Yeah, and then don't rule out the influence of social media influencers.
Oh yeah, my God.
Especially the younger ones who are the same age as these people.
Yeah.
Coming out with all this quack bro science, like you were saying, Eunice, saying, oh, will I do this or oh, will I do that?
Mm-hmm.
Rather than actually listen to the people who know what they're talking about, they'll listen to these people who are basically getting sponsored by these companies to go and say this sort of thing in order to move their products. And it's like the influencers now probably have more influence than the actual trainers at the gym.
Yeah, but
so.
Yep.
Oops.
Uh-oh.
Uh-oh. Looks like we just lost George.
Oh no, George.
He'll come back.
You know, IG or social media, you know, it's a double-edged sword, because there's a lot that comes from social media, but then at the same time, you know, you
do it so fine. What's going on?
New,
there she is. There he is.
Yeah,
it's all about influencers, and it's about the following, and well, they only have so many followers, but this one has, you know, 1 million followers, so they must know what they're talking about. And you know, it's a double-edged sword. It's a different world now than what it used to be. Just like Janine was saying, magazines was our only educator back then. I mean, we used to run to the 7-Eleven just to go get the first, you know, the edition for that month.
Right.
And the information there, it was sound. I mean, that was really what they were doing, and you depended on that. And we didn't have, I don't remember there being all these, you know, deaths like there is now.
No.
Well, like I said, you know, we get it with your lady. Her name is Lisa Sagan, and she talked about this, how she's from Australia. Now she notices, it has, because mostly it's not from steroid use, it's from dehydration. Because when you deny your body a lot of fluids, your heart will stop. That's what would kill you, more or less, dehydration. What happened with Helena, and also just basic maintenance and care. Some people don't even go to the hospital or doctor regularly like they should. I have an appointment coming up next month because, you know, I have a pacemaker. I gotta. In maybe a few months, I also got to go to see my cardiac guy and make sure I got to check my pacemaker. Right now I'm talking to a doctor about checking out my knees because, you know, because I get they're going bad on me. But yeah, you should always take care of yourself, because in the long run, if something happens to you, this sport's going to keep on continuing. It's going to keep on.
Exactly. Your mental health too. If you know you're not feeling right mentally, you know, hey. I know when my dad, he just passed away last month, and I was prepping for a show, and I didn't think he was going to die that soon. But my coach was like, hey, take off during the holidays. He said, spend that time with your dad. He said, you don't know how long he's going to be here. It's going to be a show from here to whenever. But your parents and your family, you won't have them always. And I'm glad I did, because Thanksgiving, I had a big old family dinner. My dad was there. He had a good time. We got pictures. You know, we did a lot of family stuff. And so when he passed last month, and I talked to my coach, oh, thank you. And I said, you know, I think I'm ready now. He said, yeah, you ready now because you had a lot of responsibility. He said, that's what I wanted you to focus on.